Hey everyone, this is Cardinal. I've got another build I would like to share with you today. This is one I've been running recently on my Magplar. I'd say recently, about a month or two off and on. But I feel like it's in a good place right now, and I wanted to share it with everyone. It's it's pretty tanky. It's really tanky. It's a nice defensive build. Doesn't have a lot of kill potential 1v1, but I think it's can be part of a good small group team. Works well in battlegrounds as well. And this is no CP build, at least that's the intent for it. And so everything I'm showing you here is stats in no CP. Notice, first of all, that we do not have any serial buffs beyond Battle Spirit. And so all the stats here are right now 100% unbuffed. So looking at it, you see we have 22k health, 29k magicka. Not great magicka, but we'll see why it would normally be better. About 13k stamina. We're using tri-food, and almost 1600 recovery, magicka. Pretty low spell damage, and again, if we buff that up with major sorcery, it only gets to 2k or so. But again, the damage is not really the key of this build, as we'll see. And no, the resistances we see are actually very good. It's 26k spell resist and almost 18k physical resist. Once we buff those up, they'll get pretty high. That's already pretty high. Keep in mind, we are in light armor. But let's go ahead and look at the gear. I'm using his sap. This is an interesting set. It was buffed in Wolf Hunter, I believe, where when they updated the language and the interaction on that fifth piece of disabling effects, they added immobilizations and snares, which now, in current day, Battlegrounds and Cyrodiil, that actually helps a whole lot, because there's so many snares in this game right now, and a lot of people are running these ridiculous ice builds. They give you the immobilizations, roots, and whatever, that it makes this a pretty worthwhile set nowadays. Now, I haven't finished leveling my Magden, and so what I've created here is basically a snare and ice and root build for Magplars, which I think, like I said, I feel like it's been working really well. Small group. It could probably work okay in a larger group too. I haven't really tried it out too much. But we have his sap, like I said, 5 pieces, both bars. I'm running an ice staff that is charged on the front bar. And the back bar is infused. That's basically so if I need to heavy attack to restore magicka, then I can get those procs of the absorb magicka enchantment a little bit quicker, just to, if I find myself in dire straits and need a magicka. So, but charged on the front bar because we want those status effects to actually hit, so it vastly increases the status effects, especially the ice, as we'll see when we look at the skills shortly. I'm also using Gossamer as my other 5-piece. Picked up 2 rings when they were for sale in the Golden Vendor one time. But Gossamer has very nice 2 through 4 bonuses, Magicka Recovery and Double Magicka. But the 5th one is a 10% chance to get Major Evasion for 6 seconds. Now with the update to Major Evasion, it reduces area of effect damage by 25%, which, when you're fighting wardens a lot, and a lot of different classes nowadays are very reliant on AoE attacks. There's all kinds of steel tornado spam nowadays, and everything goes into that. So it's actually a very nice set, and this is one that works in any size group. I think just being able to give friendly targets major evasion, give yourself major evasion, is pretty nice. The uptime on this is not huge, but I mean, you spread it around your group pretty well. Like just looking at my own uptime, I would put it somewhere in the 30 to 40% range, which is not bad. When you're standing in your ritual, you're gonna get pretty consistent, which almost 100% of the time you should be standing in your ritual. It should be able to proc this eventually. Anyway, but yeah, 5 pieces of gossamer. Notice that the jewelry I'm using is protective. And then notice that these are both light sets, so I have 5 light armor. Then I have a pirate skeleton as my monster set, both pieces, 1 medium and 1 heavy. So I'm running 5-1-1 for the undaunted passives. Pirate skeleton is nice because, again, at 1 piece we know it gives us good resistances, but at 2 pieces we turn into the skeleton, we get our major protection. We also get minor defile, but we're Templars, we can handle that. But we really want the major protection. And pretty high uptime I've noticed in this build, fighting against people, groups of people. Because this kind of build, I feel, if you look at the footage, I just kind of wade into groups and just sit myself in the middle of it and let my allies come around me and fight. Or even just by myself. But I mean, you have good survivability in this build. You have a lot of major protection potential you can get with this. Gossamer gives you a lot of damage reduction. His sap gives you this amazing effect. The heal is affected by battle spirit, but you're still talking about almost 1500 health every second, which is pretty nice. Because we're always snared by something. It seems like we're going to be cleansing it quite a bit with our ritual, but I mean those things usually come back pretty quickly. So I mean we have really good uptime with this Hissap bonus, and that's going to help us a lot stay alive. Okay, let's look at the skills. My front bar start off with Frost Reach. It's an immobilize, and it's got a good range on that. It's also a dot. In CP, you probably wouldn't even have to use Pirate Skeleton. I think we have enough dots in this build that you could probably change to Falcon Scorian and actually give it a little bit more kill potential with this thing. Although in CP, you know how that is anyway with the kills. And time to kill being somewhat high already for a lot of builds that you fight. So I don't know if it'll increase your kill potential, but the Scoria is another option here as far as monster set, where if you feel comfortable with where you are as far as survivability, then that'll give you a little bit more damage. Using Elemental Drain, so we had about 1600 recovery, but this is going to give us about this. If you use it consistently, you'll have about 600 more recovery from Ele Drain, and then of course about 480 more recovery from your rune. So pretty good sustain with this build when you add it all together. Also, since we're in light armor and we have Elemental Drain, we're talking about what, 8-9k penetration. So I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at there as far as what we're able to do. Blockade of Frost, of course. This is again our immobilize AoE ability. Also our snare. One of our snares. We have multiples. Purifying Light, just added pressure on your opponents. Also, between it and Total Dark, these also give your Dawn's Wrath passives, which give you minor sorcery. Minor sorcery to you and your group, and it also generates ultimate for you. Basically, since the duration of this is 6 seconds, you're going to be getting that 3 ultimate every time you hit it. So, and same with Total Dark. Total Dark is nice, and I recently switched back to Total Dark from the other morph, Unstable Core. Basically because I decided, like, for this build in particular, I really would like that healing that Total Dark gives, whereas Unstable Core does the additional AoE damage explosion at the end of it. But yeah, the total dark is nice because you put this on people, and it may take them a second or two to realize it, especially if lag is a thing, which it always is a thing. And it gets you a little bit of healing in that same moment, because that's going to give you about a 3k heal each time that goes off, which is nice. For my ultimate here, I'm using Crescent Sweep. And you definitely have some other options here. You can use Shooting Star if you just wanted the Mage Guild passives on this bar, which is like extra recovery and extra max magic as well. You could use Dawnbreaker Smiting. I think that does a little bit more consistent damage. Crescent Sweep though is kind of nice. One, it's low cost, 72 ultimate. That's really cheap. And the catch has that 6 meter range is I'm not even sure 6 meters. 6 meters is kind of generous when you see this thing in action. It's hard to land sometimes, but you'll notice in the videos I've included some game footage that I'll add after this part of the video. And what I'll do is I kind of use it as an execute, but to actually utilize it, I'll get it right in front of a person and hit it then, because enemies in your path will be hit for 60% more damage. Adding 60% to about 5k, that's kicks you up to 8k damage, which after mitigation and everything probably drops you down to 4k. But that's just added pressure, and it's it's a, like I said, cheap ultimate. 4k plus a really nice dot. 2391 every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. I don't know if the 2391 is buffed by the 60%, but we'll leave that for another day. But it's actually very nice when because I don't have room on my bars for Radiant. But if I get people pretty low, I'll go ahead and use this as kind of the final part of the final push to get someone down. And you'll see me use it pretty effectively in these videos I've added on here. Back bar, pretty standard Templar back bar. Elusive Mist, again, this is our help bar mobility. You can actually animation cancel it if you just want the speed buff, and then if you cancel it, then you get your recovery back also, which is nice. Ritual, of course, we gotta have that. I'm using Reflective Light. This is so I can snare multiple people. Honor the Dead, of course, is our big heal, and it does have a good amount of magicka return if you're not spamming it. And then, of course, Channel Focus is our major protection, or not major protection, our resistance buffs. Using Light's Champion as my other ultimate. I guess you could use either morph, Life Giver or Light's Champion. I like Light's Champion because if you have allies, this really helps them out with their, it gives them that extra critical damage for a few seconds, which I think is nice, because the whole point of using Light's Champion is to take you off the defense and put you on the offensive. I mean, people aren't running huge crit though in non-CP generally speaking, so maybe buffing critical damage is not a great thing. But mainly we're using this for the major protection anyway. But if someone can make use of the major force next to us, then that's perfectly fine as well. But again, each person that this heals gets that major protection for 5 seconds, and if you're just by yourself, essentially it gives you major protection for 10 seconds. Now we're already using the Pirate Skeleton, and that gives us major protection also, so it's a little bit redundant in that sense. And again, that's why I suggested we could also switch out Pirate Skeleton for Falcon Scoria. But if you just want to, not only get major protection for yourself, but also share it with your team, I think this is a very nice ultimate, and it gives you very nice healing as well over time. So, with all that put together, generally go into battle. You start off with your focus. You throw out your reflective light. They swap over, and you hit them with blockade and frost reach. Probably do frost reach first because that's an immobilize. But once you've hit someone with and have a ritual down as well. So if someone's in your ritual, they have reflective light, they have blockade of frost. Even if they don't get immobilized, they're going to have so many snares on them, it's ridiculous. I mean, this game is ridiculous with snares. We might as well participate in it rather than just complain about it all the time. So we're getting 40% snare from reflective light. Someone standing in your ritual gets a 30% snare. And then blockade of frost is a 60% snare. I'm not sure if those are multiplicative or additive or what. I just know that it's annoying as shit. And so then if you immobilize them, they're just kind of standing there not knowing what to do. Maybe they're panicking, maybe they're making mistakes, and this is to your advantage, and that's the whole point. Then you get your down your total dark and your purifying light and your element drain. You're just putting all kinds of pressure on your opponents. And it's helping your teammates out as well. Because especially if you have teammates that are using Magicka, they can certainly take advantage of the LA drain. Purifying light is just adding to the damage on the person, and also it gives you a heal if you're standing next to them. I wouldn't count on that as a great heal, but I mean it's there. And then total dark is just again extra pressure on your opponent, and gives you some healing, gives you some survivability. And so that's the whole goal of this thing. We're using the Atronach Mundus. I am a vampire, of course. We're stage 4, always stage 4. Just for the nice passives it carries with undeath and everything. As far as potions go, I have a variety of potions I use. Immovability is just a nice standard potion. It's health, Magicka, and immovability. Have a detect pot, just for open world Cyrodiil, you always got to get Nightblades out of stealth. This is actually a speed and lingering health potion. There's probably better lingering health potions. This one just has speed attached to it. If I'm in battlegrounds, I generally use that when I'm trying to run a flag, because that's not something I typically do as a Magplar. But I actually got the achievement for running like 3 flags, or in a capture the flag game, or something like that. I got whatever achievement that carries the title, flag bearer or something. I forget. It's relic runner. Anyway, so I've got these lingering health speed pots. Lingering health, I think, is really nice with this build as an option, because you do have the his sap, which is already kind of a lingering health thing already, and so you add that on, you're just getting a lot of recovery with that, health recovery with that. Not health recovery, but you're getting a lot of health with that. And then of course we have our spell power pods. That's always an option here, especially since we don't have a major sorcery slotted. We don't have entropy slotted or anything like that. I guess that's the only option is Magplar. So spell power pod actually is an option if you want to do a little bit more damage. Anyway, hope you've found this interesting. I do have 3 clips that follow this video. The first one's basically a full battleground. It runs about 11 minutes. After that, I've got highlights from a second battleground. And then after that, just a few minutes of open world Cyrodiil, some outnumbered fights and equal number fights. Just showing what the build can do and what's possible and things like that. I'm sure there are more talented players than I that can even do more things with this build that I can't. So I'm just putting this out there and just have fun with it, and hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions. Put it on the YouTube, whatever. I'll try to respond as best as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye.